After all, the thunder light that radiates from above contains a trace of immortal thunder power, not to mention the entire iron chain. The elder's cultivation was beyond his comprehension, but Wang Lin could imagine that it must be extremely powerful. Additionally, he had an indistinct feeling that there was a faint trace of primordial aura on the elder. Wang Lin instinctively took a few steps back. He was unfamiliar with the elder and assumed that the fated one the elder mentioned was not referring to him. His gaze swept across, landing on Li Yuan. Li Yuan, equally astonished, observed Wang Lin's movement and naturally guessed that Wang Lin didn't recognize the elder. Therefore, the fated one the elder spoke of seemed to refer to him. Li Yuan examined the elder carefully, feeling quite puzzled, and respectfully clasped his hands, saying, "Senior, are you referring to?" The elder took a step forward, emerging from the dense mist, glared at Li Yuan, and pointed at Wang Lin, dissatisfied, saying, "Kid, stop pretending to be confused. The fated one I speak of is you. Come here." Wang Lin's gaze sharpened as he spoke in a deep voice. "I, Su, have never met you before, Senior. How could I be the fated one?" The elder sized up Wang Lin, then smiled, saying, "You've forgotten so soon? Anyone who can walk out of the passage I sealed within 7 days is my fated one." Wang Lin's expression changed instantly as he stared at the elder. After a moment of silence, he slowly said, "So it was your doing, Senior, but I don't understand why you would do this." The elder's face showed impatience. He stepped forward, his large hand reaching for Wang Lin, and said, "Stop talking nonsense. I say you are the fated one, and that's it." Wang Lin's face darkened. His body quickly retreated. Unable to discern the elder's cultivation, he knew he couldn't fight back, only fleeing. The elder let out a sinister laugh, his large hand swiping down. In an instant, the entire void within 10 miles was enveloped by a storm-like force, so powerful that it contained unimaginable, dense primordial energy. With a single grasp, Wang Lin's face turned pale, and his body was immobile, as if subjected to a body immobilization art. He could only watch as the elder's hand reached out toward him. A flash of light gleamed in his eyes. In the instant the elder's hand came down, he bit his tongue, swallowing the blood that didn't spurt out. Using the immortal power contained in the blood, he invoked the escape technique he had learned in the land of demonic spirits, creating an internal circulation within his body. As the circulation spun, Wang Lin's body loosened at the moment the elder's hand was about to grab him. In a flash, he vanished and reappeared at a distance, immediately turning and fleeing without looking back. The elder let out a soft, and, with renewed interest in his eyes, laughed, as expected of the fated one I've chosen. "You actually have such a quick escape technique." He withdrew his right hand and slapped the void. The earlier grasp had only used 1/10 of his power. Now, with this slap, he used 2/10, and the entire void twisted as if it were about to tear apart, ripples appearing everywhere. "Reverse," the elder muttered. In the blink of an eye, the entire void shifted, as though every direction had changed. Wang Lin's escape path flickered, and his body uncontrollably retreated, his movements exactly like when he had fled earlier. In an instant, as his surroundings cleared, he realized that he was now standing 3 meters away from the elder. Cold sweat ran down his forehead. This kind of divine ability had surpassed his imagination. "Why aren't you running?" the elder asked, smiling at Wang Lin. Wang Lin remained silent for a moment before clasping his hands in respect and saying, "I don't know what instructions Senior has. My cultivation is insufficient, and I fear I won't be able to meet your requirements." The elder's gaze landed on Wang Lin's storage pouch. "No matter," he said. "You can't help, but the thunder beast in your storage pouch can. Let me use it for a while, and I will return it to you later." Wang Lin sighed inwardly. He didn't know how the elder knew he had a thunder beast. He slapped the storage pouch, and the thunder beast flew out. As soon as it appeared, before it could even roar, the elder's large hand reached out and squeezed it in midair, turning around and taking it with him, laughing, "Very good. It's actually a silver-horned thunder beast. Not bad, not bad. Kid, not only am I taking this thunder beast, but all the thunder beasts belonging to the Thunder Immortal Palace emissaries who enter the Thunder Immortal realm will belong to me in the coming days." The thunder beast, now fully aware, trembled in fear. This was the first time such a reaction had appeared on its body. Just as the elder was about to leave, Wang Lin gritted his teeth and shouted, "With your cultivation, is it really justifiable to take what belongs to me in such a forceful manner?" The elder paused, turned around, and glanced at Wang Lin. He laughed heartily, his eyes showing admiration. "Asking for compensation? Interesting. but I won't take your Thunder Beast for free. He sized up Wang Lin for a few moments and continued, your cultivation is a mess, with Thunder Divine Soul and Thunder Body. What is all this? I'll give you a hand. As he spoke, the old man reached out his right hand into the void, immediately gathering a large amount of dust into his palm. In the blink of an eye, it transformed into a light sphere the size of a fist. The elder then exhaled a breath, blowing it into the light sphere. Without even glancing at it, he waved his hand, and the light sphere shot straight toward Wang Lin. The speed was so fast that Wang Lin didn't have time to dodge. The light sphere immediately fused into his chest. After completing this, the elder flicked his sleeve and laughed. You won't be able to pass through this place. I'll send you on your way. With a flick of his sleeve, a powerful force surged outward, enveloping Wang Lin, Li Yuan, and the Gu clan woman, and they vanished. That iron sword seems a bit familiar, but never mind. There's something more important to focus on right now, the elder thought as he looked at the Thunder Beast in his hand. The more he looked, the more he liked it, and he laughed. Not bad. After I cast a minor spell on this Thunder Beast, it should be able to pull the iron chain. The Thunder Beast cautiously looked at the elder, its heart pounding, but it didn't dare make a sound. In a flash, the elder disappeared, pulling the Thunder Beast with him. However, almost instantly, he reappeared, glanced back in the direction where Wang Lin had vanished, and murmured to himself, how much did that breath blow away? Seems like a little too much. That little guy should be fine, right? Well, if he's not dead, he really is my fated one. The elder stepped forward and vanished. Wang Lin and the others were whisked through the thick mist by the elder's wave, with the sound of howling wind in their ears. The speed was beyond what could be described by divine abilities. It was as if the world itself was being flipped upside down. Li Yuan landed a dozen paces away from Wang Lin, pale-faced. As for the Gu clan woman, her face was drained of color, and she immediately vomited after landing. The speed was so fast that their bodies could barely endure it. The moment they landed, a sharp pain erupted from the spot where the light sphere had fused into Wang Lin's chest, surging through his body like a tidal wave, almost drowning him in agony. His body trembled lightly. The sensation was like a mortal swallowing a burning coal, with an unimaginable heat pouring from within his body, as if it would burn his entire flesh to ashes. Li Yuan adjusted his breathing slightly, his gaze flashing. He looked at Wang Lin, whose face was filled with apparent pain. It seemed like there was a fire burning inside him. The Gu clan woman's eyes flashed with sharpness as she stared at Wang Lin. She saw his condition and felt it might not bode well. Her heart wavered slightly, and with a quick tap on her storage pouch, a black dagger appeared in her hand. The moment the dagger appeared, countless vengeful spirits swirled around it. This dagger was also a family heirloom of her clan, and it was heavily poisoned, capable of corroding the flesh. The vengeful soul sealed within it could also cause immense damage to the essence spirit. Li Yuan furrowed his brow but didn't stop her. If this person were to die, it would mean that even if he reached that place, he would probably never make it to the final step. The Gu clan woman knew this was a rare opportunity. If she let it go, it might never come again. She gritted her teeth, tightened her grip on the dagger, and was about to step forward. But just then, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. There was no longer any lightning in them, but instead a flame, staring fixedly at the Gu clan woman holding the dagger. In a hoarse voice, he said, "Nice dagger. Are you planning to give it to me?" The Gu clan woman trembled in fear, her eyes filled with intense terror. She instinctively took a few steps back and stammered, "Why, yes." "Yes." She quickly threw the dagger on the ground. Wang Lin closed his eyes again, and when he opened them once more, he had regained clarity. He reached out into the void with his right hand, and the dagger flew into his grasp. After a brief glance, he stored it into his pouch. The light sphere that the elder had condensed erupted within Wang Lin's body, bringing a tremendous sense of danger. The sensation of his flesh burning continued unabated. What was strange, however, was that this burning sensation seemed to be benefiting his cultivation rather than hindering it. As the burning continued, Wang Lin could even feel his cultivation slowly improving, getting closer and closer to a breakthrough to the great perfection. But the process was so painful that it almost drove him to madness. Fortunately, Wang Lin's mental fortitude, built over thousands of years of cultivation, was as solid as a rock. At this moment, he endured the pain, and outwardly, nothing seemed amiss. "Li Yuan, is the place you mentioned located on this continent?" Wang Lin's expression remained calm, his voice no longer hoarse, but instead flat. Li Yuan's eyes flashed briefly with an unreadable expression. He lowered his head respectfully and said, "Senior, I am not yet certain. I will need to observe the center of this continent before I can determine it." Wang Lin glanced at Li Yuan and nodded slightly. Li Yuan moved forward, flying ahead. The Gu clan woman, filled with intense fear toward Wang Lin, hurriedly followed behind Li Yuan. Despite this, she could still feel that murderous gaze on her back. Wang Lin walked slowly behind, not in a hurry. The reason he didn't kill the Gu clan woman was because she was clearly the key to Li Yuan. The fact that this woman could come to the Thunder Immortal realm likely had a lot to do with Li Yuan. According to his previous guess, if Li Yuan's goal was that iron sword, with his restrictions, he could easily obtain it from the woman's hands here in the Thunder Immortal realm. But he hadn't done so, which meant there must be some deeper cause and effect. Wang Lin remained calm, following behind, enduring the immense pain within his body. His feelings towards the old man were quite complex at the moment. On one hand, he was grateful for the opportunity the old man had given him, as his cultivation was slowly advancing through the pain. On the other hand, he hated the old man to the core for twice mocking him with the Thunder Beast. With a sigh, Wang Lin tightened his focus, suppressing the pain inside. He could feel that after the light orb fused with his body, a certain transformation was occurring. It seemed that this transformation was reversing his body from the thunder and lightning state, turning it into a real flesh and blood body. Wang Lin didn't know how long this process would last, but he had an insight. When the transformation was complete, and the pain faded, his cultivation would break through to the first step of cultivation. Before, his cultivation had already reached perfection, and even his Dao concept had changed, becoming the realm of causality, but he had remained stuck at the great perfection stage without any hint of a breakthrough. Now, he took a deep breath, deciding not to suppress the pain anymore. Instead, he let it explode completely, thinking that this way, his ascent would be faster. At this moment, if one were to look at Wang Lin from a distance, they would vaguely see fire flickering on his body, as if flames were burning. If they got closer, they would hear occasional faint cracking sounds coming from his body, like impurities being burned away. Li Yuan, flying ahead, didn't turn back. However, the light of the restrictions above his forehead flickered slightly. Through these restrictions, he could perform many feats that normally required divine sense. He could clearly see the state of Wang Lin's body. After a brief pause, he retracted his focus, thinking to himself that the higher Wang Lin's cultivation, the smoother this journey would be. However, he couldn't let him truly reach the Yin deficiency realm, or else things might change unexpectedly. It seems I can't hesitate any longer, Li Yuan thought to himself. A month later, in the central region of the continent, Li Yuan carefully examined the surroundings for a while, as if comparing them to a picture in his mind. After a long time, he nodded and said, "After observing 2 fragment continents, I can now confirm the general location of the restriction, but it's not here. It's to the east." Li Yuan turned and looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he said, "Lead the way." With the location confirmed, their speed naturally increased. Li Yuan wasted no time and increased his speed, flying from the eastern edge of the fragment continent and once again entering the Thunder Chain Void. The Gu clan woman had no choice but to follow. 3 months later, after traveling through several fragment continents, one day, Li Yuan's gaze focused as he stared at a towering mountain peak ahead, his eyes revealing a deep hidden excitement. This is the place. Silver-like lightning flashed from the dark clouds, running along the mountain peak, accompanied by a dull rumbling thunder. Looking at the mountain, Wang Lin seemed to sense a long-forgotten aura emanating from it. This was the mountain soul of the peak. The Gu clan woman stared blankly at the mountain, her eyes shining with a strange light. She trembled, subconsciously looking at Li Yuan. At that moment, Li Yuan's back was facing her, making his silhouette clearly visible to her. Seeing the mountain and then seeing Li Yuan's back, a flood of familiar feelings rushed over her. In an instant, they exploded, and she looked at him in terror, a gaze far more intense than the one she had given Wang Lin. She remembered. At this moment, Li Yuan turned around and gave her a meaningful glance. The words that were about to leave her mouth were silenced. She lowered her head, silently reflecting for a moment. When she looked up, her eyes were calm, as if she had figured everything out. This mountain has no name. There are many restrictions within. The Thunder Immortal realm has been opened many times, but how many people have broken all the restrictions here? Li Yuan said slowly, staring at the peak. The Gu clan woman remained silent, gazing at the mountain. She was familiar with it, yet unfamiliar at the same time. "Let's go," Wang Lin said indifferently. Li Yuan nodded and walked ahead, each step bringing them closer to the peak. Beneath the mountain, the thunderous sound grew louder, and bolts of lightning could clearly be seen scattering. Li Yuan's steps were firm as he stepped onto the mountain stone. The mountain had no path, but clearly, after multiple openings of the Thunder Immortal realm, many people had explored this mountain. Gradually, as the external restrictions were broken, a path had naturally appeared. The Gu clan woman followed behind Li Yuan, her waist swaying lightly. She bit her lips, staring at Li Yuan's back, silently thinking, actually, I should have seen it earlier. This figure, so similar to my family. So it wasn't just a legend. The woman's face revealed a bitter expression. She understood now why Li Yuan had appeared within the family. Everything had happened because he had intentionally approached her. She also realized that, had Li Yuan not used some method, her visit to the Thunder Immortal realm would likely not have been allowed by the family. When she left, the complicated gaze of the family's ancestor resurfaced in her mind. At that time, she had only thought it strange but hadn't asked any questions. Now, however, looking back, she understood. The ancestor had known all along. Otherwise, why hadn't anyone from their family come to the Thunder Immortal realm since someone had been there tens of thousands of years ago? From that moment on, no family member had ever set foot in this place. It was as if the Thunder Immortal realm was forbidden to their Gu family. And now, everything had changed because of Li Yuan's arrival. She had become the second member of her family to enter the Thunder Immortal realm after tens of thousands of years, with only Li Yuan accompanying her. So, the ancestors sent me to the Thunder Immortal realm to atone for my sins. That's why the family's heritage artifact was given to me. The Gu clan woman bitterly smiled. Li Yuan promised to help me retrieve that sliver of soul. He must have thought that without a complete soul, it couldn't be offered as a sacrifice. At this moment, her mind cleared, as if she saw through everything. Her changing expressions didn't escape Wang Lin's gaze. Wang Lin keenly noticed that ever since she saw the mountain peak, her heart had changed dramatically, and her thoughts were in turmoil. His gaze shifted past her, landing on Li Yuan's retreating figure. His expression remained calm, but a faint sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. Wang Lin was now certain Li Yuan must have been paying attention to him for a long time. Even that restriction had been set to draw him out. In fact, everything up until now seemed to have been part of this person's scheme. Though Wang Lin hadn't fully grasped every detail, it didn't stop him from seeing through the situation. A killing intent flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. He never showed mercy to those who plotted against him, but he had other plans. At that moment, the murderous aura emanated from his body, sharp as a sword. Just then, Li Yuan in front stopped walking. He didn't turn around, but instead spoke in a low voice. Su, I'm not as worthless as you think. Our meeting was part of my plan, but also a result of chance. His way of addressing Wang Lin had subtly changed. Wang Lin's eyes flashed coldly. He spoke in a calm tone. What's really hidden in the depths of this mountain? Li Yuan fell silent. After a moment, he gazed into the void within the mountain's clouds, where the nothingness stretched far beyond sight. His eyes showed a hint of melancholy as he softly spoke. My master resides here. Wang Lin frowned. At this moment, Li Yuan turned around and looked at him. He was a completely different person from before, almost as if he had transformed. He spoke quietly. Su, entering this mountain, with your cultivation, without my permission, you won't be able to leave. Wang Lin's expression remained calm. He said lightly, the 18 plum blossom restrictions, I know a little about them. At his words, Li Yuan froze. This wasn't a pretense. He was genuinely stunned, as if he was meeting Wang Lin for the first time. Furrowing his brows, Li Yuan said, the 18 plum blossom sealing art. Though few know it, it's not impossible. It's not surprising that you do, Wang. Wang Lin looked at Li Yuan with a faint smile and said, so it's the 18 plum blossom restrictions you're using. Behind him, a phantom flickered as the Immortal Guard puppet appeared. As soon as the Immortal Guard appeared, it immediately punched into the void behind them. The impact shook the entire mountain, and a vortex formed behind, leading to the outside world. The Immortal Guard retracted its fist and returned to Wang Lin's shadow. Wang Lin remained motionless, calmly gazing at Li Yuan. He slowly spoke, this place can't trap me. Li Yuan's expression immediately darkened. He stared at Wang Lin for a long while before slowly speaking, I underestimated you. But even with that puppet. Wang Lin sneered coldly and raised his right hand. The only sword chi of Ling Tianho within him shot out with a sharp howl. After reaching the peak of his cultivation, Wang Lin had mastered the art of controlling the sword chi with precision. At that moment, The sword chi shot out, enveloping the entire mountain. It was so fast that in the blink of an eye, it reached Li Yuan's face, its tip stopping just at his brow. What about this? Wang Lin's voice was frigid. Li Yuan closed his eyes. After a moment, he opened them again and slowly said, Su, with your actions, you must feel the reward is insufficient. Please, state your terms. A strange glint appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. Li Yuan's deep scheming had seen through his intentions. Just as Li Yuan had guessed, Wang Lin's move, drawing on Ling Tianho's sword chi, had been waiting for this very sentence to be spoken. Regarding the 18 plum blossom seals, Wang Lin only knew that this restriction was extremely famous in the ancient cultivation world. However, it was very particular about direct lineage. Outsiders would never learn it. Even for direct disciples, depending on their status, they would only learn up to the 9 seals at most. Only the sect leader could learn all 18 seals. To this day, this restriction has long been lost, and it is something that future seal masters would sigh over. Within the immortal abode in the land of demonic spirits, it was Wang Lin's first time seeing the true remnants of the 18 plum blossom seals. Before this, when he had seen Li Yuan using the restriction and transforming it into 18, he had begun to have doubts. What made him even more suspicious was when he obtained the jade slip containing the concealed aura restriction. Upon examining it, 18 gigantic statues appeared in his mind. These 18 statues were vastly different from the plum blossoms. At that moment, Wang Lin felt perplexed, but upon careful thought, he began to discern certain clues within them. His earlier words, delivered in a calm and determined tone, were actually a test. If Li Yuan had denied it, Wang Lin would have lost interest. Whether he took action or left was merely a matter of thought. This was also the key reason Wang Lin had followed along so persistently. If it were merely for the elusive primordial artifact, his personality would never have allowed him to pursue it so doggedly. However, Li Yuan was too mysterious, and Wang Lin wasn't sure if this person was truly only at the peak of great perfection. Thus, along the way, he had refrained from making a move. Now that they had reached their destination, as they climbed the mountain, Wang Lin finally made his move. Li Yuan remained silent for a moment before smiling faintly. He said, "The mere 18 plum blossom seals? Since Brother Su values them so much, I shall part with them." He patted his storage pouch and immediately took out a jade slip, placing it against his forehead for a moment, before tossing it to Wang Lin. "This contains the 13 seals of the plum blossom. As for the remaining 5, once we enter this mountain, I shall personally give them to you." Wang Lin took the jade slip, sweeping his divine sense over it. Though his expression remained unchanged, his heart pounded. Inside the slip, there were no incantations, only 13 gigantic statues could be seen. Beneath each of these statues, there were 13 plum blossoms underfoot, arranged in a subtle and perfect formation that contained some kind of rule. From start to finish, the Gu clan woman remained silent, as though everything had no connection to her. She only gazed absent-mindedly at the mountain peak before her. "Brother Su, I am not only skilled in the 18 plum blossom seals." Li Yuan turned and walked toward the mountain, as if unconcerned that Wang Lin might leave after taking the jade slip. "Have you ever heard of the 4 great forbidden techniques and restrictions?" Wang Lin, putting the jade slip away, remained calm. His steps moved forward as he walked toward the mountain peak. It is said that when heaven and earth first opened, rules appeared. Over time, one of these rules became known as restriction or formation. Though the names differ, the essence remains the same. The division of heaven and earth into the 4 essences has long been the foundation of restriction techniques. Li Yuan did not turn back as he continued, his pace unhurried, heading toward the summit. The Gu clan woman followed, still with a vacant expression. But above the 4 essences, there is another layer that we cultivators call the void. The void is divided into 4, creating the 4 great forbidden techniques. This mountain was formed using the annihilation seal from one of those techniques. For countless years, no one has reached the summit of this mountain, for this peak has no end. Li Yuan's voice drifted back to Wang Lin's ears. "Brother Su must be wondering how I know all this," Li Yuan said as he took another step, crossing over a protruding rock. With a hand gesture, he casually pressed against the void. At that moment, the entire mountain trembled, a loud rumble echoing as the massive peak visibly shrank by half. Though the summit remained out of sight, it was clear that the peak had lowered considerably. What does reaching the top of this mountain matter? Without the correct method to crack the formation, searching the entire mountain will not reveal the misty depths within. Li Yuan turned and looked at Wang Lin with a smile that wasn't quite a smile. "Brother Su, Are you puzzled? Wang Lin looked at Li Yuan and calmly replied, You're quite talkative. Li Yuan furrowed his brows but then smiled faintly, turning back to continue his ascent. Yet, he fell silent, his gaze filled with reminiscence as he slowly moved forward, as though every plant and stone on the mountain was familiar to him. When they reached the middle of the mountain, Li Yuan made another hand gesture. This time, the gesture was more complex, and with a flick of his hand, the mountain rumbled again. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed, and he saw that the peak shrank once more, and the top seemed to reveal a faint trace. At the very moment Li Yuan performed the restriction, a weak divine sense voice entered Wang Lin's ear. Senior, save me. This man is a madman. Before the woman from the Gu clan could finish, Li Yuan turned and shot her a cold glance, causing her words to die in her throat. Gu Hong, if you have something to say, speak directly, do not use your divine sense, Li Yuan said coldly, a trace of mockery in his eyes. Since stepping onto this mountain peak, he had changed significantly compared to before. Gu Hong fell silent. After a moment, she gritted her silver teeth, took a few steps back, and moved to Wang Lin's side. It seemed that only here would she feel some sense of safety. I know who you are. Your arrival at the Gu family is no accident. You have a purpose. Gu Hong shouted sharply. She didn't want to die. Even though she already knew the answer in her heart, she still wanted to grasp at any opportunity for survival. Li Yuan smiled and nodded. That's right. Gu Hong's face turned pale. She said sharply, Why me? It wasn't me who took your master's possession. It was the Gu family's ancestors. A cold glint flashed in Li Yuan's eyes as he smiled and replied, Because you are the direct descendant of that thief from back then. Your entire Gu family, you are the only direct descendant. Fear appeared in Gu Hong's eyes. She took out a storage pouch and cried out, I will give you everything. Inside, there is a painting scroll, an iron sword, and a compass. These 3 items are all yours. Please spare me, I beg you, spare me. Li Yuan took the storage pouch, his eyes showing a complex expression. He gave it a gentle tap, and 3 items flew out, the iron sword, the ancient compass, and the painting scroll. Li Yuan picked up the painting scroll and, with a flick, unrolled it. He stared at the painting, his eyes filled with melancholy. The painting depicted a mountain, towering and half-hidden in mist. Beneath it, a flying sword soared through the air. On the sword's hilt stood a figure, but it was only a shadow, slightly blurry. On the tip of the sword stood another person, their back turned. The figure bore a striking resemblance to Li Yuan. Wang Lin's gaze flickered as he looked at Li Yuan. He began to have a guess. It was obvious that this painting was created before the immortal world collapsed. If that's true, then could Li Yuan be an immortal? Wang Lin sucked in a breath, but then he felt it didn't quite add up. Li Yuan sighed lightly and carefully placed the painting scroll back into the storage pouch, along with the sword and compass. He looked at Gu Hong calmly and said, Let's go. With that, he turned and continued walking toward the peak. Gu Hong's face was ashen, her silver teeth gritted. Without going upwards, she dashed down toward the base of the mountain, transforming into a streak of light and swiftly disappearing. Wang Lin remained calm and continued walking forward. As for Li Yuan, he seemed completely unconcerned with Gu Hong's departure, never once looking back, walking without interruption. Su brother must have many questions. Do not ask. When we reach the peak, I will explain everything. Even I am somewhat unclear about it all at the moment. Li Yuan's voice held a strange tone. Wang Lin said nothing, walking behind Li Yuan, both of them heading toward the peak. Along the way, every restriction was dispelled with a wave of Li Yuan's right hand. Several times, he cast increasingly complex sealing techniques, causing the mountain to shrink continuously. Each time the mountain shrank, the peak became clearer, and soon, as the mountain continued to shrink, the summit was clearly visible. At the top of the mountain stood a massive stone statue, sculpted to resemble a middle-aged man. Beside him was a flying sword, and on its tip stood a figure. When Li Yuan saw the statue, his expression became excited. His speed instinctively increased as he dashed toward the peak, arriving at the summit in an instant, standing beneath the towering statue with a look of sorrow in his eyes. Wang Lin also reached the peak. As he looked at the statue, an aura of natural grandeur emanated from it, radiating a sense of solemnity. A trace of a sealing presence lingered around it. What caught Wang Lin's attention, however, was the statue's right hand, which was performing a seal that appeared simple at first but was, upon closer inspection, extremely complex. The moment his gaze fell upon it, his spirit was shaken, as though drawn by an unusual force, wanting to leave his body. In his ears, he seemed to hear the howling of countless swords. His vision darkened, and when he looked out, he saw countless immortals surrounded by celestial energy, holding various magical artifacts as they ascended into the sky, battling the heavens. These immortals were enveloped in thunderous radiance, and with a mere gesture, they unleashed terrifying thunderous divine powers, striking the heavens. Yet the sky was empty. These immortals had no enemies to fight, yet many exploded into nothingness, dying in an instant. This strange scene made Wang Lin's heart tremble. At that moment, a sword light flew out from among the immortals. It was a sword shining with purple lightning, and standing on its hilt was a figure, the very one depicted in the statue. On the tip of the sword stood another figure, but this person bore no resemblance to Li Yuan. As the sword emerged, all the immortals scattered. Sword light flickered, radiating a force so powerful that even a single glance made Wang Lin's mind reel, the sword chi surging straight into the heavens. In the midst of this eerie illusion, he seemed to faintly hear a calm yet resolute cry. "I perish, but my soul remains undying." The moment this voice rang out, the soaring sword trembled. The man standing on the sword hilt shuddered, and then crumbled to dust, leaving only the servant atop the sword tip, staring blankly at the now empty hilt. An overwhelming sorrow welled up in the servant's eyes, as though for eternity, the one who stood on the hilt had been his sky. And now, that sky had fallen. The hilt was empty, forever void. In this world, only he remained with a sword. From this day forward, the sword hilt would bear no one, only emptiness. Carrying the will to die, he raised his head and looked to the heavens. Stepping upon the sword tip, he followed in his master's footsteps and surged upward into the sky. The master is gone. The servant follows,